I get that on paper, nobody cares about a backup quarterback position. And I get that as soon as I said that, a lot of people are already like, yeah, whatever. It's a backup quarterback. But truth be told, it's one of the most important positions in football. And the Pittsburgh Steelers cannot, and I mean cannot, screw up how they go about their quarterback depth chart in 2023. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. And today, well, I'm talking about possibly the hottest topic of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And somehow we've gotten here because just like Steven said yesterday on the podcast, quarterbacks are always the most flashy position in football. It's the most cared about role on a field. And for the third year in a row, the Pittsburgh Steelers have headlines about their backup quarterback. And we have gone from Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph, quality 2, to Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, quality 2, to possibly Mitch Trubisky, possibly Jacoby Brissett, possibly a rookie, all trying to support Kenny Pickett. And the Steelers got to figure it out because it is crucial to have that number 2 guy that you can rely on. And right now, it's just one giant question mark. You look at Mitch Trubisky, and we'll start there. He's due $10 million this season. If the Steelers cut him, they save $8 million. It's a pretty good cap room to work with. The easiest cap casualty that they probably have. In my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of other people, the easiest decision they can make is to get rid of him. That being said, a lot of people, including some Steelers insiders, don't believe that they want to. They believe that they like how Mitch Trubisky handled the role as a backup. They believe that he's a good mentor to Kenny Pickett. And I agree with that. I think him and Kenny's relationship was strong. I think that Kenny Pickett has a lot of question marks that people want to overlook. The kid is not polished. He is not a proven future star in the NFL. And yeah, he won a couple of good games and he looked really good at the end of the season in clutch moments. But overall, Kenny Pickett has not proven that he's a good quarterback in the NFL. That could come. And I'm not saying that he's never going to do that. And I'm not saying that he's not going to do that this season. I think the expectation should be Kenny Pickett is going to prove that he's a good quarterback in 2023, or the Steelers are going to have to reevaluate things. But you want a backup quarterback that helps that situation. Mitch Trubisky certainly does help that situation. He helped Kenny Pickett plenty as a rookie. He will continue to do so in year 2. And I think that not changing the landscape of things is a smart decision to make when you're trying to be overly cautious about your new quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers might not be making the smartest moves or the most flashy moves this offseason, or really anything that the fan base wants at all when it comes to how their offense is going to be run. But they are taking Kenny Pickett into consideration at the highest level, and they are looking at it and going, look, Kenny Pickett has a lot of road bumps that he's going to have to get over early in his career. He is not flawless. He is not perfect. And by no means has he shown us that he is the franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers and this superstar in the making. But we want him to get there. And because of that, we're going to be extra cautious about the situation. Keeping a backup quarterback that has mentored him well is being extra cautious. And it works. That's a smart idea. But it's not a smart idea if you're going to lose $8 million and only have one backup quarterback. And then you got questions. And then you got low cap room. And then you got plenty of other positions to fill. And you could save $8 million, which signs at least one name, most likely 2, possibly 3, all for the money that you're going to spend and essentially waste on a backup quarterback. But what happens if you get rid of him? What happens if you cut Mitch Trubisky and the Steelers move on and they save $8 million and now it's just Kenny Pickett? That's all they got. They don't have Chris Olado, don't have Mason Rudolph, and they're just looking at their options and they're thinking we have literally nothing. Where do you turn to from there? Well, one Steelers insider, Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, has named Jacoby Brissett as a name to watch for two reasons. One, he's familiar with the Steelers offense. They had eyes on him last offseason when they were looking for a veteran to come in here and compete with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Jacoby Brissett was on the list the entire time. He ended up not joining the Steelers. They got Mitch Trubisky, and he headed to Cleveland, where he went 4-7 as a starter in replace of a suspended Deshaun Watson. Showed, I don't know, okay enough work to feel okay about the situation. I don't know if he showed anything that made you go, oh, yeah, that was definitely it. I mean, he threw for 2,600 yards and 12 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. The Browns started hot, and then they looked really bad as the year went on. But you also have to question, is that just the Cleveland Browns? But I don't think Jacoby Brissett has ever shown, oh, I'm a starting quality quarterback in the NFL. Has he shown he's a quality backup? At times, certainly. And when he comes in on the lick of a dime and you're looking at him and saying, hey, look, you got to go win us this game. It's the second quarter and our quarterback just went down. Yeah, he's shown that he could do that from time to time. That's all you're looking for in a backup quarterback. Is it the best option? I don't think it's anywhere close. Is it a guy that you want here long term? I mean, maybe. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's a good one. I don't think that if you had to rely on him for half a season, you're going to make the playoffs. But I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's mobile enough. I think he's big enough. And I think he's got a relationship with not only Matt Canada, but Eddie Faulkner and Frisman Jackson to where you can at least kind of trust him. He's got proven leadership. Cleveland loved him. The organization and those teammates loved Jacoby Brissett. So that feels good. And he signed in Cleveland last year for $4 million. So this year, you have to imagine that he's going to take less because he's not even going to be looking for a starting role. If he comes into Pittsburgh, you could probably sign him for $2 million, 2.5 maybe. You cut Mitch Trubisky, you just saved $5.5 million. So where do you go from there? I think you go to the NFL draft. And if you have Jacoby Brissett, and then you have a guy, and I'm going to continue to toss out this name like Hendon Hooker, that you could get in the 4th or 5th round, pay that guy literally nothing, $2, maybe $3 million over the course of the next 4 years. You have two guys there for essentially $3, maybe $3.5 million. You just saved roughly $4.5 million. And you have two quarterbacks instead of one of them that you trust right away to be the backup, feel really good about. The other one has a huge upside, middle of the draft. Worst case scenario, he doesn't work out. Best case scenario, he shows that he's good enough that maybe other teams are calling for him. I just think that the Steelers have to be overly cautious. I think that I agree with the fact that they do need to put Kenny Pickett first, but I don't agree with the thought that Mitch Trubisky is the only option to do that. That you have to have Mitch Trubisky and you have to pay him this ridiculous salary just because you have to be cautious with Kenny Pickett and you're worried about how he adjusts to year 2 and you need a mentor and you know who's going to handle the ups and downs and he already has a relationship. It's 1 year. By the end of next season, if you brought in another veteran, Josh Dobbs' name's been thrown out there plenty. You brought in a guy like that. You brought in a guy like Jacoby Brissett. You brought in a guy like whoever. By the end of next season, as long as they are a true professional and they're not looking to do more than what they're told to do in Pittsburgh, and I don't know how anybody could come in here and say, hey, I'm going to compete with the second-year first-string or a first-round guy. That's not going to happen. That took them on a 7-2 run to end the season. That's just not going to happen. It's not even going to be a thought. Mike Tomlin's not even going to look at the quarterback competition or the quarterback battle or the quarterback depth chart, and say there's a battle here. There's any competition at all. No, it's Kenny Pickett's team until proven otherwise. So you bring in a veteran who knows his role, who understands what he's doing. I guarantee you that him and Kenny have a good relationship and that he turns into a good mentor in year 2. You don't have to do that with Mitch Trubisky. You don't have to force this on anybody just because you're worried about being not cautious enough. I don't know. The Steelers do this sometimes, and it doesn't always make sense. A lot of times it doesn't make any sense at all. Matt Canada is a prime example there. Makes no sense to keep that guy around, but the Steelers want to keep him around because they're worried about Kenny Pickett. Okay, well, you did that. You took the way too easy jump on that one. There's no need to do it again with a backup quarterback, especially when you are in cap hell right now and you have a lot of positions that you need to fill. Go get somebody like Jacoby Brissett. And I don't even think Jacoby Brissett is all that good of a quarterback. I don't even know if he's better than Mitch Trubisky. But you could go get him for a lot less money and feel a lot more comfortable about the situation. You could go get Josh Dobbs for pretty much nothing and feel more comfortable about the situation. And then go draft somebody for nothing at all and feel even better about that situation. I don't know. It's better to have longer term options for less money than 1 year option for a boatload of money. And with the Steelers and all their question marks this offseason, they cannot screw up the backup quarterback position.